Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon your time zone. God bless you. My name is Pastor Yemi Omogboyega. It's nice to chat with you again. Thank you for patronizing my channel. And this time around, I want to talk on Pastor Adelaja, the pioneer and father of Pentecostal religious revolution in Nigeria. Pastor Adelaja, the pioneer and father of Pentecostal religious revolution in Nigeria. I stumbled at a YouTube post or page that was talking about Pastor Adelaja, and in a way that, to me, it's still a rumor, and whether it turns out to be true or to be false or remains a rumor, it sends a kind of a shocking wave to my system. Everybody will die. It's a debt that all of us we owe, so long as one is born. But everybody has their own calendar, age at which they would drop off the bus of life. When I say the bus, the vehicle of life, that is, everybody has different destinations and will drop off at their own point in time. So, but one thing that quickly came to my mind is whether Pastor Adelaja is still alive or is gone to the great beyond. He remains and will remain the father or the pioneer and the father of Pentecostal, I may put emphasis on the Pentecostal religious revolution in Nigeria. So whatever the state is, I cannot be talking about, talking as if he's dead now. But I will still be talking, presuming that he's still alive. And even if he's dead, because like I said, everybody will go. So if it is his appointed time to go, nobody can stop it. And one thing that is important, let's put it this way. If he's alive, he should keep on doing what he best knows to do, liberating people from the shackles of the shadows of spiritual, that's what to call, the chain of spiritual agony that the church, especially the Pentecostal sect, has placed the yoke or the plague that the Pentecostal religious movement in Nigeria has placed upon the innocent, God-seeking, God-fearing, those who are particularly interested in serving their creators, but who have found themselves in chains, and therefore their destinies truncated. The young, the old, the male, again, the most impoverished, spiritually impoverished people amongst these categories is the women fold. The women fold. Single, adult, even children among the female fold. They are the most negatively affected. Everybody is affected, but this category of people, the female in particular, who are like young children, who believes whatever they are told, who believe whatever they are told, who takes in 100%, not questioning what it, and who unfortunately too are less enlightened because they take our religious leader for who they should be: reliable, trustworthy, God-fearing, and whose word should be an authority. And they take everything about our religious leaders, especially our GOs, that way. And in the process, their expectations of living a life of fulfillment, a life of achievements, a life of spiritual and material advancement, those expectations were cut short because many of them ended up disastrously, and they are still ending up disastrously. The girls molested, their mothers either raped, seduced, used, abused, and everything. And everything about their total being frustrated. At the end of the day, they left in despair, and they returned frozen and deeply hurt and disappointed to their bone marrows. Now, my knowledge of Pastor Adelaja, I opened my YouTube channel in year 2009, and I was not operating it until year 2017. In the first place, YouTube then was still at the tottering stage. You want to record, you want to download, you want to play, It was an Herculean task. I tried to, though I didn't even know that the impact would be as big as this. The vision of the creators were big, far bigger than our innocent or novice selves, because what did I know about it? I just knew that this thing was talking, and I was not looking at it as a worldwide television that it is, worldwide personal studio, whereby every individual could own his own television station free of charge and be able to do whatever they want to do with it. And again, as an avenue for everybody to even create legacies and leave it for the world that will be benefiting and profiting the world long after they must have left the world. I didn't understand all this. So the frustration of buffering whenever you are trying to even open any video was a major problem. So I lost interest. And I did not come back until 2017. And what brought me back fully to YouTube operations. Prior to that 2017, or up to that 2017, let me say from the beginning of my life up to 2017, year 2017, I was pursuing religious activities. I was exploring religious activities. And of course, there are many religions, but Christianity happened to be the one that I chose and settled for. But inside the Christianity, I wanted to ensure, just as if I knew what the Bible says, you should find out the truth, and then the truth shall set you free. I was trying to find out whether Christianity is going to be a profitable religion in terms of application to real life, using myself as an example. And so my journey into Christianity started with my mother, who introduced me to it and all that. I've been to a few denominations in the Christian fold. Just a moment, please. It's like this light is not good enough. Just one moment, please. Let me see if I can migrate to a brighter location. Yeah, I think we just have to make do with what we have. Like I said, I was trying to find out whether the applications of the teachings of Christianity or doctrines of Christianity will help to advance my life, not relegate it. And this has formed the basis of all my inquiries since I joined Christianity. And as time went by, I moved from church to church, born into Anglican home, schooled in Anglican school, primary school, and churched in the Anglican way, and later on moved to the Catholic school, which automatically made me a fan of the Catholics, and so on and so forth. So I started having my experiences here and there. But these experiences did not really have serious meaning to me until I had finished my primary school. That was the year 1972, December. And in 1973, I migrated to Lagos, where I will have to define my life and what my life will be. The Lagos I went to, that I must not return home years after, empty-handed. The Lagos I went to, empty-handed, with nothing, that I must not come back home with nothingness. And on getting to Lagos, I started defining my life. I wanted to advance my education with my primary 6 certificates. I didn't want that to be the end of it. And efforts here and there to go straight to secondary school didn't work out. Not because there were no people who could support, but because God just wanted it that way. Because my sister wanted me to stay back home to go to secondary school. She was ready, she vouched to do everything that will enable me to achieve my aim there. My brother brought me to Lagos, also wanted to ensure that I was academically engaged, but he placed me in an institute, secretarial institute, and as I was doing that, eventually he could not continue. I had to take my destiny into my own hands. Like I said earlier, I left Inyekiti, my hometown, empty-handed, with nothing. But it was never my intention to return home empty-handed. So I had to do everything possible to advance my life. So eventually, I took to two things were paramount to me. My education must continue. Thank God for part-time schools. Thank God for correspondence colleges like Exam Success, Correspondence College, Yaba then, at Fadeyi, and then the Rapid Resource College, London, the Metropolitan College, London, all of them, Correspondence College. All these opportunities were available, and I took advantage of them. But the one of Exam Success, owned by the late, I think, Okudolo, Mr. Okudolo, may his soul, gentle soul, rest in peace. That man really advanced Nigeria. It was an academic sector. If it were a country where, people are recognized, even posthumously, this man ought to have been honored as one of those who brought educational advancement in people's lives, especially those who are disadvantaged or who could not, who are working and want to still further their studies. So I remain grateful to that organization now. Okay, all that said and done, I had to start casual work to raise some funds to take care of myself. And by the time it was about 1978, that was when I finally was weaned, because my brother, who is now late, had to leave Lagos. I had to sojourn with my uncle and my uncle himself. I did not. By 1978 was the first time in my life that I rented a boys' quarter apartment that I will call my own. But all this while, from 1973 that I got to Lagos to that 1978, what was I doing in terms of religion? I was not going to be keen on church going. My uncle that I was staying with, my brother, everybody were not church goers per se. My brother was not even a church goer at all. Then my uncle that I had to live with after my brother left Lagos. It was like in today, out tomorrow. Casual churchgoer. So these are the kind of people that I sojourned with, and their influence upon my life too, and myself that I was like a reluctant or somebody who's still trying to even figure out where to be in Christianity. So between 73 and 78, I was still in and out. Occasionally we go to church. Majority of the time, no church going. But when I now was on my own, I was left with nobody other than my God. So it's now my God, myself. Whatever I will become in life, it's going to be between my God and myself. And God has been so faithful. So, however, in the process, there are so many testimonies about the benefits of the church that I would say I gained. One, it gave me good moral standing. It helped me not to live a wayward life. And even though I did not understand the full meaning of the fear of God, I believe that I feared God. Anything I wanted to do, God is looking at me, so I must be careful. And the kind of doctrines we were taught. The churches I attended in Lagos, I attended Christ Gospel Church, Odiolowo Mushinden. Then later I attended Gospel Faith Mission at Boladale Street. And then I attended, anyway, all the sojourns here and there. I landed in CAC when I was alone now. So it was at that CAC that I wanted to find my bearing, that I wanted to be committed. I became the member of the choir, so I took things very seriously. Although the standard of the church was low. When I say low, you don't really have real educated people amongst the leadership. Maybe those who are leading us were primary 6 certificate holders, or I wouldn't say there was a school cert person there. So these are the kind of pastors and leaders that we had. But they were artisans, they were people that had their own profession. For instance, my first pastor there was a printer, a publisher or something, a printer. He prints books and prints, pamphlets and all that. So, the kinds of teachings that we were having, maybe for our level, they were still meaningful. But for us, we needed something more than that will advance us in life. CAC was the place I was going to check whether the teachings in our churches were progressive or whether they were retrogressive. One, as far as I was concerned then, that clashed with who I was and my person or my personal vision was the fact that the CAC church then de-emphasized young persons advancing their educational pursuit in life. They hammered more into our ears. We do not come into the world with nothing, we go with nothing. Therefore, we should just serve our God. We should concentrate on the Bible alone. And all those teachings didn't have negative impact on me until I wanted to be studying very well for my GCE exams. And literature was one of my subjects because I was into both the arts and the commercial aspects of the educational divide. So, as part of my subject, literature is one of them. And we got all the books recommended to us. Macbeth as one of the Shakespeare books, drama books. Then Things Fall Apart was one of the prescribed books then. And I think the other one, like the poems and all that, many of them. But one day I was reading I don't know how I even came. Maybe I think I took the Things Fall Apart because I usually take my books around. Anywhere I found space, I'll read. I'll go for choir practice and all that. But one or two of my books will go with me, so that as soon as we finish our choir practice, I'll start reading my books anywhere, anyhow. So one of these days, my pastor then saw me with Things Fall Apart and was like, he looked at me. And the next thing was that Brother John has backsliding. What are you doing with Things Fall Apart? A worldly book. A worldly book. You want to go to hell or something instead of you to be reading your Bible. That was the first shot I got that touched me. I ruminated. This gentleman, does he really understand what I'm doing? I was reading for my GCE. Was I going to read only the Bible? Religious studies is one of my religious knowledge, okay, we'll call it. One of my subjects, yes, of course, I read the Bible for that. What about literature? Will I read the Bible for literature? And other subjects. Then, that conflicted with my future, that conflicted with my interest, that conflicted with the fact that I said I left my hometown empty-handed. I should not return to my town empty-handed years after. So I got troubled. And it was recorded for me, of course, as having backslidden. So I have to flout that kind of doctrine. I either take to that doctrine and ruin my future, or jettison it and I have a brighter future waiting for me. I chose the latter. I had to jettison that kind of teaching. I'm using this as an example. And this thing affected other stages of my life, because academics will pave way for me to have good employment opportunities also. If I don't have good qualifications, how will I get good jobs that will metamorphose into my dream of having a better tomorrow? These are the questions that went ahead on my head. So, fundamentally, CAC Church would have ruined that opportunity for me to be educated. Thank God I had a discerning spirit to understand, and I knew where I was going. So that is why when we're in a church or in any setting, if you have your vision, you have your focus, you cannot be easily diverted from the path you have chosen for yourself. I have chosen the path of academic advancement, and I was resolved to pursue it until it profited me. Nothing, not even religion this time, will take that away from me. I stuck to my belief, jettisoning anything that is contrary, like the kind of teachings we're having. And I thank God today it paid off. Secondly, another teaching in terms of marriage. When I was getting to a level where I started looking for a partner, the doctrine in our church then was anything outside CAC, anybody, any girl outside CAC, should not even talk to them, talk less of getting tempted to marry them. I told you it affected several stages of my life. On marriage now, it's the same thing. The first one is the academics. If I hadn't got good qualifications, I would not have been privileged to gain good employment that I gained later that helped me. So my employment would have been jeopardized too, because I would have remained a casual labor for the rest of my life. Only God knows what I would have become now. Definitely, it would have been the retrogressive sense. Maybe I should have even gone frustrated. So, when it gets to marriage too, another occurrence. Marry from the church. In the totality of our church, if we are up to 25, 30, that will be when our church was full. Or maybe sometimes 40, 50 persons, I would say at most. And these 50 included the baby that is still sucking. And from among our choir members, we were about 10 or less. And myself, my friend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were males. The others were females. And the females were the young, very young ones. Not people that are up to the people you can never expect. You'll be talking of grooming for marriage or whatever. So nobody that is suitable. So I was looking at that. I had a conflict there too. It's either I remained here and be waiting for the unborn, which later happened to me anyway, waiting for the unborn, and then the girls that we had, they were from poor homes, uneducated, and many of them not even going to school. So I looked at that. I thought around that was a problem. So I left. I had to start looking outside the church, CAC, and I went into, the next person I talked to was a Catholic. Things didn't work out. Others, and so on and so forth. The effort was going on until all the searches that I was carrying out based on church failed, and I had to start looking elsewhere. Finally, I found somebody outside the church from the Muslim background. From there was where I found somebody that I knew had a future, and we are compatible, and we are agreeable in nature, though very young, that we can be moving together. And we did this for 7 years before we could talk of marriage. So that was how the journey was going. But by the time I now found this person, I brought her to my pastor. So this is the person we are still studying ourselves and others. From what background? Muslim. Full stop. No more talk. The church made it categorically clear. We will not support you, we will not join you, we will not be party to it. And their word was law. I looked at it. It's either I take this one again or I jettison it. If I jettison it, I will be acting according to my conscience, according to what I believe, because everything is belief, will profit me. Because if this girl turned out to be opposite of what she is today, I would have regretted it too. Take note. So I will be working against my belief, and I would have thrown her away. I would have thrown my destiny away. Then I left that also. I said, if this is what it will take, I better stick to my guns. And I did. Summary, to God be the glory today. Both my academic future that I foresaw then, the height I was looking at degree level. I got there. Professional level, I got there. In the employment area, career opportunities, I got from the bottom of the ladder to the top that my level of exposure could take me to. Degree. And then when it gets to marriage, I got to today. My wife and I were climbing the ladder of 50 years. At least we've done 40 years, climbing the ladder of 50s. I've never had a day of regret. God has made everything to work out well for me. These 3 areas of my life, and of course by extension, my whole life, religion would have destroyed. Especially if I had followed the CAC doctrines. The rest is history. And I was going on in this religion circle. In spite of all that, of course, I remained a worker in the church wherever I found myself. And then eventually I was tired of the CAC. I moved to the Redeemed Christian Church of God, thinking that that's a church that is filled with enlightened people like Daddy Gio, people with, this strata of the church is filled with enlightened people whose life should influence me for the better. And I joined them. That was about 1995. I was looking for a trending church, a church that the youths are, there and doing well. So I joined the Redeemed Christian Church of God, even though I had TREM in mind, but faith landed me in the RCCG. Maybe if I had joined TREM, I would still remain in TREM today because of the development that will come later. But faith landed me in RCCG. Now I wanted to know more about God. I wanted to know more about religion. I wanted to know more. Then, after some time, I joined the Workers' Fold, went for the training, then started serving this and that. Then the ministerial group started. Anyway, I started, and by 2017, I joined them in 1995. By 2017, I was already an area pastor. I would have gone maybe higher than that if I had applied the principle of the CAs of concentrating just on religion and no other thing. But area pastor was still okay. So that will tell you. And in terms of wanting to know more about what I was doing and whom I was serving, I did the School of Disciples, I did the Bible College, and got certified in them all. So the more I wanted to know, the world of religion is also like any other, it's a universal knowledge. There's no beginning, no end. The more I thought I know, the less I knew. And I didn't realize that until 2017. But in the Church of God, I could see that the role of human nature is so much in it. It is. The church is not different from the normal family setting, where you have the periods of cracking jokes, the period of quarrels, ups and downs, thick and thin in the Church of God. I was enduring all that. But as I was going through, this time around, it was that 2017 that I returned to my YouTube channel. That time I was already getting fed up with the Church of God, because I could see that rather than advance people's destiny, they kill those destinies. I started by saying the destinies of the youth, the destiny of the girls, the destiny of the... I saw a lot happening. It was a miraculous period of miracle movement in the 70s in particular. That was when Deeper Life Church started and all that. And others followed. The Redeemed Christian Church of God is not also to be left behind. So, I was doing that journey. Well, I've discovered that if care is not taken, indeed I concluded that religion is a diversion. Religion is a diversion. Unless you know how to manage it, can divert your focus, can twist your destiny, can shift. You can lose focus of what you intend to achieve in life. And you can lose your home, you can lose your family, you can lose your career, you can lose your academics. Anything that will make you to make progress in life, you can lose. If you take to religious extremism. So I noticed that. And I discovered also, just that it was later on discovered by people who were commenting that Many of these religious settings were business organizations. They were money spinning ventures, not salvation, not aimed at saving the souls of the people. So I got concerned, and the rest is history. It got to a point I could no longer go on. So I stepped out of RCCG. RCCG was a church that I so trusted, that the GO was somebody that I so much revered. But it took me time to realize that we were like spectators in a theater, watching a drama. And drama, a lot of the times they put you in suspense. You would think that you are knowing what you are being taught. You would think that you are getting there, but you are suspended again. You keep on opening up on hope upon hope. A lot of wrong doctrines, a lot of troubles. But the one that actually finally broke the camel's back was the issue of tithing. Tithing. Because right from the period, I was paying my tithe, but I wasn't paying it because I had so much to take care of. So tithing was bringing me pains. Because many a time, this is my tithe, this is my children's school fees, this is our food, this is my transportation to school, to work, and this is another area I must spend money on if I was going to be getting better, my education, part-time education. All these I have to spend money, yet I want to take 10% of whatever I have to pay to the church, expecting miracles in return. So it became a torture. Many a time, it got to a point. I remember that month, I paid 10,000 naira as a tithe. My pastor happened to know where I worked, and he used that to size me up. He had to call me and say, "Daddy, I know where you work. Your tithe, correct tithe cannot be this cannot be 10% of your income." Witchcraft. That's one of the things that the church plays. They played witchcraft. And they delve into your private life to make sure that they sap you. So when he called me that day and said this, I said, in the midst of everything that I was going through, this is another pain. Trying to please God, thinking that what they were saying was correct. How will I please God and make sure that I did not displease my people, my future, my children's future, everything? That was the peak of my groan as far as tithing is concerned. The cries for first fruit is there. The cries for love offering is there. The cries for donations there. The cries for special donations. Everything. And I had become an area pastor. Target. As at that time, our target, annual target, the money that our area has to remit to the headquarters annually was a little above 100,000. First of all, as an area pastor, I had to divide that money into two, bear the first half, and then throw the remaining to the congregation. So these ways, again, indirectly, I was kind of being, because you want to perform well now. If you are not delivering any returns, you are not doing well. And again, the instinct that, when you are doing it for God. I had got totally carried away. Of course, I now made it mandatory for my additional pain. And this time around, I had retired. Things were really, really hard. That to feed became a problem. But by the special grace of God, nobody knew I was still patching. That's outside the various problems that will come in the church. Generator has problem, fuel, honorarium, this and that the church will have no provision for. Welfare for people that the church will have no provision for. Provision on paper, practically, you cannot put any money aside and call it welfare. And when they say the number of offerings they are taking will not even allow you to call for welfare offering again. So it's always there on paper, but it's not practicable. So it is the responsibility of the parish or the area pastor or the parish pastor that should know what to do to carry their people along. Nothing concerns also the church with the development of the local parishes, because as at that time, what from our remittances, what we expected to retain was about 12% or something. And sometimes this 12%, what comes to the church, maybe we made up to like 10, let me just be moderate, say 100,000. Whereas our average income was between 50 and 80,000. So if we just take 10% of even 100,000, that's 10,000 naira. That 10,000 naira does not fuel the generator, does not repair, does not maintain it, does not. So you're not talking of infrastructure. So all these were the burdens that were placed upon the head of the pastors in charge. 10,000 naira, assuming. So in a year, let's say 100,000 comes to you. And out of that 10,000 naira, there are some petty monies that are taken by cash. Not direct remittance, direct cash. Outside the main sanitation, clinical, this and that will still go to the remitted upstairs. So at the end of the out of 10,000 naira, what may come to you, 4,000 or so may go with that one. So we have 6,000 to do the structure of the church, to do the maintenance, to do everything, and to do welfare, to do all. So I now discover that this is a slave market. Pastors were being enslaved. So all these things, I started querying them. And it got to a point that I could no longer cope. Because the one that touched me most was the tithing thing. I started investigating from YouTube topics on tithing. And this time around, I was already 60 years old. And I started researching the Bible until I discovered Hebrews 7 that tells us the distinction between the Old and the New Testament, how the Old Testament gives way to the New Testament, how the period of the law gives way to the period of grace. And I discovered, even in Hebrews 7 verse 5, I say when you are paying your tithe, you are paying it according to the law then. But the Bible also says there in Hebrews 7 verse 22 that the Old Testament, the old law have been given away, that a new order came, a new covenant suretyed by Christ, that he swore by his own name. And having come in the order of Melchizedek, has replaced the old. My eyes did not open until this. Until I read this and now understood. After all, I've been reading the Bible, but who taught us all this, even in our Bible colleges? our attention. I said religion is a diversion. All these Bible colleges, they are teaching you what suits them. What suits them and will profit them financially. And they got to a point we started hearing the teachings like drive anybody who is not paying tithe away. I drove some people away because my criticism of them drove them away. Following what we are taught from them, drive them away, their accounts. Then this is what graduated to you don't pay your tithe, you don't make heaven. You see, all these things, I was just wondering if this truth that the Bible has revealed in Hebrews 7, Hebrews chapter 8, Hebrews chapter 9, that explained that there is a fundamental difference between the Old and the New Testament, that we should follow the New Testament, not the Old. It even says if you want to follow the Old Testament, follow it to the letter. 613 laws in the Bible. Google them. You must follow them all. Failure in one is failure in all. Instead, why not follow the new order? Malachi 3:8. You give and you don't pay your tithe, you're a robber, and then things will be tight for you. All these things, all these heresies, which contradicts 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 5 to 7, that whatever you want to give in the house of God should be purposed in your heart. This is the new law in the Bible. If there is any, you can call it law, guideline. Anything you want to give to the church of God must be purposed in your heart. You should not be forced. You should not be cursed. You should not be coerced. You should not be manipulated. Just as they are using the Malachi 3:8 to 10 to outlaw Malachi 3:8 to 10. So, all these things now brought me into the light. Now, can I remain in RCCG and be teaching and preaching these things myself? Because the next thing was for me to stop tithing and stop doing all those things I was doing, carrying the yoke of the church, like the annual returns, that annual target and so on, that I have to divide into two. Even when I was going through terrible pains, the church is wicked, man. Some churches are wicked. RCCG is one of them. And they capitalize on our ignorance. So, finally, I said, one, I can no longer teach and preach this. And if I was inside, I would be an hypocrite, preaching and teaching it while I don't do it myself. I have to venture out. That was how I left the RCCG. And I then started researching. YouTube has been very, very useful. I got myriads of arguments for and against tithing. This thing is so fundamental. Do you know, with tithing and first fruit alone, apart from the other love offering and other offerings, you know how much that these churches are raking in? And this tithing and the tithe is supposed to be for so that there will be bread in my house, meat in my house. How much time did the church meet with your needs? If you read 2 Corinthians chapter 8, you'll see there where the Bible specifically says the church should bring about an egalitarian society where the rich does not get richer while the poor gets poorer. Rather, the church will collect money here and there and spread it among the people according to their needs. Go and read 2 Corinthians chapter 8. It is there. I said, no wonder this is where the politicians brought their grammar from. We'll create an egalitarian society. So, now the church is not doing it. And they are hammering, bring. And then, do you know that this your 10% is an investable money? What you are supposed to do with your 10% is what the church is doing with the 10% they are collecting from you. They're going to invest it in setting up schools, in setting up hospitals, in doing all sorts of things, not even charity, not even charitable ventures, but what will bring unending returns to them. Yet hammering that you pay more. Okay. Do you think I've forgotten Pastor Adelaja? This is where Pastor Adelaja came into the limelight. This was when I came across Pastor Adelaja, 2017. I started seeing his teachings, not only on tithing, on many doctrines. Pastor Adelaja is an authority. Pastor Adelaja is the one that opened the eye, especially his teachings against the Pentecostal churches, liberated a lot of souls. Is the one that gave me validation as to my discovery that all along Pentecostal churches are exploiters. They are, honestly speaking, they are, I don't want to use a language that will be uncomplimentary. Their practices are antichrist. How will somebody know that Hebrews 7 is there, that says something has been outlawed, and you are hammering it because it benefits you? And you say that people should be driven away from the church because they are not paying tithes. And you are taking these monies, you are not using it for the purpose for which the tithe was even meant. Consider it. Is that not robbery? Is that not robbery? Is that not manipulation? Anyway, so Pastor Adelaja, I now listen to more of his messages, factual messages. He's a human being. For instance, he was even taking tithes himself, but his own justification was that if the money is used to benefit the people, he will pay. When I say he was paying, he was collecting, anyway, by extension, he said he pays. So, Pastor Adelaja opened a lot of, made us to understand the various atrocities in financial terms, in time management. When somebody has taken your time completely, he has finished you because you lose focus. Religion is a diversion. Practice religion in such a way that it doesn't shift your focus from where you intend to be in life. First, have a focus. If you don't have a focus, religion will use you up and dump you later. So Pastor Adelaja did a lot of work in this area. He was the one that gave validation to my discovery. Thereafter, other preachers, black and white, everybody started piecing the Bible, chewing the word, and then we're able to sift out that tithing is not for this dispensation. And these people have been collecting. Not only that, unending donations. Or not only that, you are in a program every day, every time, or not. And then not only that, you see, they will tell you it's Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. But in the real sense of it, you are consumed. Your time is consumed. It's either this vigil, that preaching, this program, that program, children program, women's program, and then all of them also financially draining. Time-wise, draining. They will finish you that you will not remember yourself. You will not remember your family. You will borrow money to pay tithes, but you won't borrow money to pay for your children's school fees. If this is what religion is all about, then it is not worth it. If it will not bring peace to people's life, if it will not bring joy, and how many homes have been ruined because of our women? I told you earlier, young girls camped and dealt treacherously with by even the leadership of their groups. To the point that we are hearing that you have lesbians in the church, you have homosexualists in the church, among the young, camping children. Then married women bastardized by their pastors. You may blame them and say, oh, because they will not stay in their house, they will be going running after pastor. That's how women are. They are faith. They are like babies. They trust in people a lot. And by the time you violate them, they will still be pitying you. So, later on, people like Daddy Freeze came up. You know how terrible the battle was. He fought his own. And he fought the Jews to stand still. Shamed them. Proved them to know not the God they say they are serving, which is true. Or if they know that God, they are wicked. They are doing the opposite of what that God say they should do. As Christians, they fail to love God and love their neighbor as themselves. They are destroying homes instead of building them. Now, people like Maureen Badejo came, God raised them. Today we have Auntie Adoni. As one, if he's getting tired, God raises another one. Now we have the reigning Rotimi Daniels. There are many others that God is raising from time to time. And thank God for COVID-19 that censored everybody at home. And the churches were not relenting. So no matter how we look at it, as far as Pentecostal radicalism or Pentecostal wickedness is concerned, it is Pastor Adelaja that brought it to fore before others followed. He analyzed all of them, up to Pastor Ayobala, Apostle Ayobabalola. He talked about some other churches, but emphasis was on the Pentecostalism movement, which is, at the end of the day, professes to be holiness-driven, but more of destiny destroyers, offering nothing as far as salvation is concerned, but pursuing worldly or materialism or money. God of Mammon is whom they serve. So, It doesn't matter whether I don't wish him dead at all. I wish he could still do more. He has done a lot. He's done so much. But I wish he could still do more. If he's alive, jolly well, he continues. If he's dead, his works will continue to advance. He will speak volumes. It will continue to revolutionize Christianity till eternity. So he's an enigma. He's somebody to, if he's gone, he has lived so short a life or so fulfilling a life. The impact he has made by pointing out the wickedness of our Pentecostal churches is so great that the whole world, generations to come, will be grateful to him. If you call real pastors, I believe these are. Forget to, if you want to hear about his weaknesses, go and ask her. There's this lady, Tony Oribo. She will cause hell out of him. In fact, Tony Oribo should, if she hears that Pastor Adelaja is dead, she will say, thank God. I don't know much about what transpired. She tried to explain and all that and all that. But all I know is that in spite of his weaknesses, his advantages to me, by my assessment, are greater than his disadvantages. The judgment of everybody is in the hands of God. He might have made one mistake or the other here, but that is for him and for God. I just pray that the mercy of God will avail for him. He did a good job. Human weaknesses cannot be removed from us all. There's nobody you ask, or nobody that you open their underneath that you will not see a sign of rottenness, no matter how little. But overall, Sunday Adelaja opened our eyes. Under his watch, Christianity never remained the same, not for purpose of destruction, but for purposes of advancing Christianity to the point of holiness, which is the ultimate goal. Advancing people to channel their efforts towards making heaven. God bless you. Please subscribe. Please share these messages across. So one day, your own report will be written like this. Mine will be written. Whatever he has done now is what we are reviewing. His books are there. Whatever I'm teaching you now, this one that I'm teaching you now, you will know that they will be there for thousands of years, God willing. Even after I've gone, when I go, you people will go to my channel and see the number of messages I've given. You will know what I've contributed to life. How about you? What are you contributing to life? Everybody's report will be written. Thank God we are writing them ourselves now. Because all these things, when we get to heaven, there's no doubt that it's not difficult for God to. If we can do this recording, God is doing the holistic aspect of our lives. So think twice. Think about salvation. Think about loving your God and loving your neighbor as yourself. As pastors, as ministers of God, lay your hands upon what you do to take care of your family. Never allow church to be a source of income. If God decides to bless you like he did to Rick Warren, whose ministration for 24 years was penned down, published, and God blessed him through it to the point that he refunded all the monies that the church had paid to him for 24 years. God can do more for you in that line. But you cannot. He was hardworking by putting that. He was articulate, he was organized by putting all those. Some of us are preaching and we're throwing them away. also do what you can do to take care of yourself. God wants you to take care of yourself and your family, and you contributing to the work of God. Not that you should be sapping people, destroying their futures. God bless you. Please share. Above all, subscribe to this channel. God bless you as you do so. Bye.